Now, it's 35 years since DNA fingerprinting was first discovered. Since then, it's been used in millions of police investigations across the world. But it was first used in 1987 to convict the killer of two teenage girls in Leicestershire, preventing a grave miscarriage of justice, as Graham Satchell reports.
November 1983. The body of a 15-year-old girl, Linda Mann, is found in a village near Leicester.
It's still raw, and I can't believe that after 35 years. She was such a lovely girl. It was wrong.
3 years later, and a second girl is found less than a mile away. Dawn Ashworth was also 15. When Dawn's body was found, police knew straight away they were looking for a serial killer. What happened during the course of this investigation would change police detective work around the world forever.
David, just explain what all this pile of stuff is. These are mementos from the case, are they?
David Baker, who's now 84, was leading the double murder investigation. He'd arrested a 17-year-old, Richard Buckland. Buckland had admitted the second murder, but there was a problem.
There was no circumstantial evidence against him on the first murder, and he totally denied it.
You were convinced it was one murderer?
Yes.
David had read in the local paper about research being done at the University of Leicester. Professor Alec Jeffreys had attached DNA from cells to photographic film. The result, each person's individual DNA could be read. David Baker contacted Professor Jeffreys to get Buckland's DNA tested.
Nobody had ever attempted a crime scene DNA analysis, a real-life crime scene DNA analysis before.
Would the test find the killer? Would Buckland's DNA match that found at the crime scene?
They came back not connected. The result was stunning.
A blow to you?
Well, it was a blow, because it meant that we'd got the wrong man.
Buckland was released. The very first time DNA profiling was used in a criminal case, it exonerated a suspect. David Baker was back to square one. 2 murders, 1 killer, no suspect.
It says, will the killer strike again? How can you help to trap him?
We made a decision there and then to use the DNA system as part and parcel of the inquiry.
What happened next was extraordinary. Police asked all the men who lived in the local area to give a sample of their DNA. More than 5,000 men gave a blood sample voluntarily, and eventually the killer was caught.
This is Pitchfork. He went from being a very normal family man to a murderer in a split second.
Colin Pitchfork, a local baker, was sentenced to life, the first person ever to be convicted on the basis of genetic evidence.
Today there are ongoing debates about DNA, how the information is stored, who should have access to it, how it's used. But Linda's family have no doubts about genetic profiling and the historic role it played in solving a double murder.
Well, I'm joined now by Dr. Churi King, who's a reader in genetics and archaeology at the University of Leicester. She was the lead geneticist who identified King Richard III's remains. She was also a student of Sir Alec Jeffrey, who created DNA fingerprinting. It's very good to have you with us this morning, Dr. King. Tell us more, first of all, about that 1987 case and how that really brought the use of DNA fingerprinting to the fore. It's something, we take as read nowadays, isn't it?
I mean, that's absolutely true. I mean, it's hard to even remember a time before DNA fingerprinting, but that was the first forensic use of the case. It actually had been used earlier in an immigration case, but this was the first time it had ever been used in a crime scene case. And it was really amazing because it actually exonerated somebody in the first instance, somebody who had confessed to one of the crimes but not to one of the others. And David Baker will tell you that, this chap probably would be in jail to this day without DNA fingerprinting. And then obviously he organized a very big DNA sweep of those various villages. And there was a little twist to the story because the perpetrator of the crimes actually had a friend give his blood sample for him. This friend then went to a pub and talked about it to his mates about how he'd given a blood sample on behalf of the perpetrator. Someone overheard it and called the police. And that's how the perpetrator was actually caught in the end.
Extraordinary story. And as you say, it prevented a miscarriage of justice. Tell us more then about how DNA fingerprinting has evolved since then, its uses, how you've used it in your career.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, obviously it's gone on to be used in millions of cases worldwide. I think some of the nice things it's been used to exonerate people. There's the Innocence Project in the US exonerating people on death row. It's gone on to be involved in sort of numerous things like animal conservation and diversity projects looking at biodiversity, this sort of thing. So it's gone on to impact on numerous fields around the world, medicine, agriculture, and so on. And yes, I used a version of it in the King Richard III case.
Tell us more.
Oh, okay. So when I was trying to identify the remains of King Richard, I needed to test those remains against living relatives. Now, because of the number of years since King Richard was alive, you couldn't use any old relative to do this work. You had to have people who were either related through the female line, so from mother to daughter down through the generations, to use a piece of DNA known as mitochondrial DNA, which travels down the female line. That was a lovely match with the skeleton. I also wanted to look at the male line. So male line relatives, there's a piece of DNA known as the Y chromosome, which is just passed down from father to son. I had male line relatives of Richard III, but those didn't match the remains. Now, I wasn't particularly bothered about this because we know that the Y chromosome that a man has is that of his biological father, who might not be the actual recorded father. So you can get this sort of what's known as sort of a break in the Y chromosome line, a false paternity where the biological father's not the one that's in the recording. But it was a little bit interesting at the time because obviously this could have an impact on the historical monarchy, and that was something that the press rather picked up on at the time, and I had to keep saying, no, back up. We don't know where this has happened. It doesn't affect the royal family today, but it was just, I say, not unexpected, didn't affect the identification of Richard, but lovely to be able to be doing that sort of work in the department where Alec had come up with this discovery in the first place.
Fascinating to talk to you, Dr. Churie King from the University of Leicester. Thank you very much.